Excuse me. Got killed. That's fucking wrong, man. What? What he said?
And I was like, hey, I need to see my war space. War space. What?
Yeah, right. us today and throughout our lives. We are especially thankful for the privilege of gathering here in this Mass tonight to honor the traditions and esprit so deeply rooted within our beloved Corps. We invoke your blessings on this assembly, the meal we are about to enjoy, and the fellowship which will follow. Amen.
I find this beef tasty and fit for human consumption.
That's what we gotta do.
Mr. Vice, are there any matters of concern that need to be addressed at this time?
Yes, Mr. President. The matter of the mess fines.
Very well then. The floor is now open for fines.
Mr. Vice, Gunnery Sergeant Dillard requests permission to address the President of the mess.
Granted.
Mr. President, I stand before you today a very concerned Marine. Approximately 2 weeks ago, I almost lost a friend that was near and dear to my heart due to the carnage of a motorcycle accident, which was caused entirely by this individual's negligence.
Is your friend here?
Yes, he is, Mr. President, and there's more. Although he was wearing the proper PPE for most Marines, which consists of a helmet, a reflective vest, and hard-soled shoes, he lacked one item which a man of his stature. He forgot his training wheels. This Marine is Gunnery Sergeant Salmon.
Mr. Vice! Request permission to speak to the president of the mess. Granted. These allegations are false and a blatant attempt to smear my good name in this squadron. That is exactly what did not happen, Mr. Vice. All right, let's pay the fine.
He wiped his Harley out, man. Oh, he did.
Granted. It's Staff Sergeant Cameron.
Obviously, NCIC for Ward 64 Bravo failed to properly pass the word for the show's arrival time for its Marines. So obviously, Staff Sergeant Cameron is not totally involved for its late arrival.
What action would you like to arrange? What action would you like to take?
Mr. Vice, request permission to speak to the president of the mess. Those who don't have their arrival live cards, I feel should have to pay a fine. Who did this fine anyway?
Smith?
Who was that? Was that Smith?
Let's go hit him in the head.
Bravo, there was choking his chicken before coming in here, sir. Mr. President, if you could ask Gunnery Sergeant Schumann to stand and unbutton his alpha blouse buttons and remove the contents from his pockets, you will see evidence. If you empty the contents of your pockets, Gunnery Sergeant Schumann, your lower pocket's empty.
You know.
I saw that. Staff Sergeant Garcia, would you reach in his pocket? See what you find in there? Oh, look at all those feathers!
Mr. President, obviously some overaged sergeant has entered my domicile and altered my uniform. I would question the sergeant on how this happened to come into my uniform.
How did it happen?
I already answered that question. He was choking his chicken, Mr. President.
I'm pretty sure I know. Got a big shit-eating grin on his face. Weaver! Yes, Mr. President!
Mr. President, I am CDI 115.
Oh, that's a lost tool.
That's a dog.
MALS-14, also known as the Fox.
Mr. Vice, I have no recollection. Mr. Vice!
Yeah, 115. Whether or not you have painted my beef. Addressing the President as Vice.
Excuse me, Mr. President.
And using profanity in the mess. $3.
Mr. President, nobody in 62 Fox tanks beef. 69 Alpha is the ones that likes to play with the beef.
I just happened to find it in this box.
Mr. President, we have no such toolbox. He's at the Boy Scouts, Mr. President.
Mr. President, one more commandant. We know how to pray. One said, we are warriors. As warriors, we are required to carry our dog tags at all times. Wow, man. In fact, there is at least one of his dog tags. Be fine.
Pass it down. $1.
Name the item in question. The item in question is now called identification tags and not dog tags. He is accused us falsely of carrying the wrong piece of issue gear. I suggest that he be fined for incorrectly fining us.
President of the MAS. Granted, Mr. President, with over 300 Marines in this auditorium right now, I'm ashamed to say the 69 Alpha had to take up the slack and float the keg. I say, everyone that left floated must be charged with all.
Mr. Vice, Sergeant Weaver requests permission to speak to the President of the mess. Mr. Vice, Sergeant Weaver requests permission to speak to the President of the mess. Mr. President, obviously 69 Alpha. Real good.
Mr. President, it is this Marine's knowledge that if any Marine requires a fine as if a shooting violation of less than expert is a guest of honor, then that Marine should be required to pay $2 of a fine if that guest of honor does not shoot expert or above.
After conferring with the guest of honor, I find that he has in fact fired expert numerous times. Rifle fireable.
Hey, Sergeant James, did you hear that thing about loyalty? What's that, good? Did you hear that thing about loyalty? I heard it. Come on, shit. Roger that, good.
recently witnessed a most egregious offense against the United States Marine Corps and a uniform standard. On or about the 1st of May, 2001, I witnessed a new sergeant. This sergeant's name was Recon, who's promoted to that grade on that day, and he stood before a gathering of many senior Marines with his name tapes on the wrong side of his cami blouse. Not only did this Marine disrespect the Marine uniform, he also disrespected the senior Marines that were at that promotion ceremony. Therefore, Mr. President, I request that this Marine be fined to the full extent of the mess.
His name?
Sergeant Recon, sir.
Sergeant Recon. How say you?
Select Mr. President. No habla inglés. No entiendo lo que ha dicho el sargento Stanley. Por eso no creo que soy culpable de la violación que él ha mencionado.
For paying fines, he placed certain items underneath Corporal Smith's chair.
Black people were being on TV. On it. The pizza, man, the pizza. You want me down there?
What do you think happened? How did this car get there?
Sergeant Weaver gave it to one of my Marines during the happy hour in the bar, Mr. President.
Sergeant Weaver!
Yes, Mr. President.
Another one of your collecting cards.
Much luck, Mr. President.
Come and collect your card.
Mr. President.
Mr. Vice. Mr. Vice, that's our Brown request permission to address the mess.
Sit down! Mr. President, since the grog has arrived, I suggest that Staff Sergeant Brown taste it out. Make sure that it is suitable.
And the admin chief fulfilling Gunnery Sergeant Scott.
Mr. President, it's damn good and it's fit for human consumption.
And infiltrates our shop. Now, frankly, I'm sick of it, along with the rest of them raising 62 Fox. Therefore, I suggest a fine of $2 be levied on 69 Alpha for stinking the place up. Yes, Mr. President! What is your story? They're selling you volume, Mr. President! They said that they need more wine, Mr. President! Have a seat. Mr. President, I admit I am guilty of this offense.
Mr. President, I humbly request that this Marine be fined to the total max fine.
Max fine of the max. Said split it with him.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Staff Sergeant Brown requests permission to address the President of the mess.
Granted!
Mr. President, I'm not hungry. Mr. Vice, Staff Sergeant Brown requests permission to address the President of the mess.
Granted!
Mr. President, Gunnery Sergeant Scott is so skinny he needs to eat. Please, Webby or waiver my fine, my payment, my eating to Gunnery Sergeant Scott because he makes more than I do.
What do you have to say?
I have a cent in my pocket.
Request to speak to the President of the mess. Mr. President, it's come to my attention there are many Marines amongst us that cannot hold their bladders. And for their benefit, for the benefit of the Marine Corps uniforms they are wearing, I request that they be allowed to shed a tear for Lord Admiral Nelson and be levied a fine upon their return onto the mess for not being able to hold their bladder.
How many Marines are involved?
Mr. President, it has come to my attention that some Marines have failed in their duties in upholding appearances. They have shown up with less than a fresh haircut.
Who do you have in mind?
Corporal Pruitt comes to mind.
Corporal Brick, how say you? Pruitt. Corporal Pruitt, how say you? Sergeant Journey. That looks like a false accusation. $1.
All right, Mr. President.
Right now! Put your shot! Sit down! Get my money, Mr. Vice!
NCO who just stood up and all of his staff and NCOs do not know the proper etiquette to conduct themselves in the mess. Request that a fine be levied against said.
I agree. I find them all $1.
If I could get him, I would.
I find you $3.
It's now time to go shed a tear for Lord Nelson. At 1950.
Sit down, the head table leaves first.
Well, if you gotta leave, go right here.
All I gotta say is watch your chairs.
Got me done doing my little speech in there.
Wow. Well, if I accidentally do, we don't mean that.
Hey, check it out, man. You're on Candy Camera. What's up, sweetheart? You going to this bar later?
Huh? Talk about it. Really about it. She's down there. Oh,
have enabled our small corps to build and maintain a name for itself, a name which is feared throughout the world. We are foremost in readiness, feared by enemies and respected.
To be with you people. I'm sure most of you think I'm pretty ancient and an old salt. However, you might say that I'm from the old Corps. But when is the old Corps? The old Corps could have been 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And it seems like you become the old Corps when you first get to your first duty station. Someone around you is going to figure that you're from the old Corps. So as young as you are, the old Corps, the new Corps, we're still the Corps. General, when I knew him was Colonel Chesty Puller, had made one statement, and he said, the old breed, the new breed, and we have the Marine breed. And that's important, the Marine breed. I hear this get some, you know, what happened is this hurrah and the noise we make today, I'm not familiar with. In my day, going into combat, we yelled, get some. We also did that in garrison too, but but Marines grow up very, very quickly. During the time that when I got into Vietnam the first time with 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, we had some youngsters that you had to be at least 18 years of age at that time to get into combat. And about the time when the first mortar shell came in, or the first rocket attack came in, or the first time they were in a firefight, it seemed like they grew and matured 10 years beyond their age. And thank God we had people like that, young people like that, who in essence would save lives of the old guys like me. Although we had the experience, you guys did the job. I had one incident during Tet of '68. I was in the battalion area, and I only had 47 men. With the communications system, not unlike what you have today, the communications, ours was what they call prick 25 radios and wire telephones and that type of thing. And when we didn't have that, we had runners. But the word came by in the battalion compound that I had these 47 men, and I had an RVN regiment coming my way. Lo and behold, we said our prayers. But I set up the perimeter with the 47 men, and some of my men had 2 and 3 weapons apiece, and all the ammo they could carry. I got word at the battalion headquarters, and they were coming back to help us. However, they were in a real firefight up the road, and luck has it that there was a Turkish army coming by, and we got word from the Turkish army that the RVM was coming in our way, and they intercepted them along with our little bit of manpower and firepower we had. The Turkish army really wiped them out and saved the lives of all 47 men. Really, I'm serious. But the men weren't afraid. they knew they had to do their job, and the consequences were going to be great, possibly. The Marines, afterwards, we all sat together and we said a little prayer. You know, not one of the men really mentioned that incident. One of my Marines said, you know, I remember what I learned in boot camp. I remember some of the things I learned in training after boot camp. You know that I remembered everything that hour, or that day, that night. It all came back to me. He said, you know, that training did us good. Again, going back to the fundamentals of what you were taught in the Marine Corps will always be with you. That's the kind of spirit that the young Marines had. I really envy, excuse me, I really envy the Marines of today. The technology you have, the type of equipment you have to work with, weapons, aircraft, it's beyond me. Because at one time I thought never would I ever see anything like that in the Marine Corps. We knew about the Corsairs and that type of thing. We knew I fired my first weapon was an 03. Shortly thereafter I received the M1, and we carried, that was our weapon. I was a machine gunner at one time. It was water cooled, 30 caliber. The equipment you have today is really great. And I really do envy the Marines of today and the knowledge they have. I served with a lot of great people. I served with Chesty Puller for a short period of time. And the only Marine officer that I can recall that ever kicked me in the butt. And he did it literally, he kicked me in the butt. There was a reason for it. The little mascot dog we had in Camp Pendleton, before we went to Korea, in Camp Pendleton there was one patch of little grass, and the dog did its job on that piece of grass. And I happened to be standing there, and the colonel came out and said, what are you doing? Why didn't you watch that dog? Who's going to say that to the colonel? You know, what am I, you know? Oh, and he literally kicked me in the butt. But this guy was a great Marine. He fought hard, he drank. But he was ready to go anytime. He was the kind of guy that, compassion, he'd send his wife roses at least once a month, every month. As hard as people thought he was probably one of the greatest. I've served with General Cushman, and you know, you must have heard of General Fontana and Fontana Boulevard, and the great, one of our great aces of World War II.
Board, request permission to address the President of the Mess. Chris!
Put that nasty thing out.
Mr. President, staff sergeant Boyd, request permission to speak freely. Mr. President, I witnessed an atrocity during the break that we had. Not only did people take it upon themselves to just go outside and smoke when the smoking lamp wasn't lit, they took it upon themselves to drink beer and other mixed drinks that are not authorized once the mess is opened and people are seated. We were authorized to shed a tear for Lord Nelson, and that was it. I request that all people that partook in that atrocity to be fined.
Don't put too much.
How much is it? I stood up after the gun was racked 3 times.
Oh shit. I didn't even sit down.
Over on. Continental Marines! Yeah! Continental Marines!
Mr. Vice, a toast to the Marines of the 19th century who fought from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli.
To the Marines of the 19th century!
1, from the Argonne Forest to Villa Wood.
Mr. Vice, a toast to the Marines who fought in the island-hopping campaigns of World War II, where a common valor was a common virtue.
Marines of World War II!
Mr. Vice, a toast to the Marines who fought in the Korean War, from Incheon to the Chosin Reservoir.
The Marines who fought in Korea!
In the War of Vietnam.
The Marines who fought in Vietnam! Vietnam!
Toast to the Marines who fought in Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm, to free the Kuwait people from the tyranny of Iraq.
I too have a toast. Tonight before us stands a lone table and an empty chair, signifying our brothers who have given their lives for our country and Corps. They cannot be here with us tonight because they have made sacrifices for our Corps. Mr. Vice, to all our Marines who have died for our beloved Corps.
To our fallen comrades!
Outstanding mess.